Hello, everybody. It's time for another State of the Garden, this time for May. Take you inside the shed and show you what's going on there. Hey! Where was I before I was not so rudely interrupted by a delivery? I was going to show you some stuff that I've been kind of stockpiling in the house to bring out to the shed here. This is stuff that's going to be used in the garden. So let's take a look at that. All right, so what do we have here? Got some things that are going to be used to build some fencing. So here we have, it's actually fairly heavy. We have some aircraft cable, which is basically galvanized steel cable that is plastic coated. To go with that, I have a bag of stuff, including turnbuckles, eye hooks, and some nylon threaded nuts for the bolts and whatnot. So more on this later. Just know that this is coming. That all pertains to all that over there, I should say. All that pertains to all those U-posts that I was just had delivered and bringing up. So here we have some citrus nutritional spray. You use this in case you have yellowing of the leaves on citrus plants. My lemon tree that I recently potted up is showing a few signs of that, so probably nutritional deficiency. We're going to try that. Rooting powder. I actually have tried this already, and I can't tell if it's helping or not. We'll find out, I suppose. It's a sprayer that you connect to a hose. These things are fun. If you haven't seen these before, you use these to support melons and keep them off the ground. Also works for squash, as long as they're decent size. What's this? This, I think, goes with the galvanized aircraft wire. What is that? Yep, that is a wire cutter. That away. All right, we got some garden netting. Now this should be, let's see. This netting is, I think, the bird netting. Let's see what size the holes are on this one. Yeah, that's the bird netting. Okay, cool. So that's going to be put over the strawberry plants and a couple other things in an effort to keep the birds out so that we're not having to give up all of our harvest to birds that can beat us to the point, or punch, I should say. More parts for the fence. Or not fence. More parts for the raspberry trellis, which is what the U-posts and all this wire stuff is for. We have a 4-in-1 soil tester. I'm going to be using this to see how much of this I need to add to the blueberries. So this is sulfur. Basically, this is just pelletized sulfur. And then this is going to tell me what ratio. Well, this is going to tell me how deficient I am in acidifying the soil for the blueberries. And the sulfur will raise that soil acid level. I'll have to do a little bit of research as to exactly what the right ratio is, but yeah. And then here we have high quality garden netting, and this netting is much finer. This netting, the whole purpose of this is to stop you from having to worry about caterpillars and like cabbage moths, that sort of thing on your brassica crops. So that's what I'm going to be using that for. All right, so there's that. Here's that lemon tree I mentioned. Still looking good. We've got lots of nice new growth. The new growth does have a slight yellow tinge to it, which is why I'm going to be adding things. And also, if you see on that leaf there, you can see the yellowing. So that's what I'm going to be trying to use that citrus nutritional spray for. Going over here, we have all the plants that have been recently watered and sprayed with BT because I've noticed a caterpillar problem already. I'm going to have to take these into the shed tonight because we're actually having temperatures drop into the 30s. After tonight, though, the stuff should all be good to get planted, which is good because some of these are looking kind of desperate to get out of their pots and to get going. So that should be fun to do over the weekend. Lettuce and radishes. The lettuce is coming up and the radishes are coming out because they're basically done. Those three that are left, radish-wise, which are those right there, those are going to be harvested when they're a bit bigger. Looking over here at the other bed, we have some germination of new stuff, as well as a bunch of white icicle radishes that are pretty much done growing. And then there are some watermelon radishes on the other side of those that are not quite ready yet. I don't really know what the delay is. Guess we'll find out. Maybe they won't grow at all. This doesn't look like much. We've got one, where is my finger? There it is. We've got one random spinach plant that's in there, but everything else is flowers of some sort, and probably a couple weeds, but mostly these are flowers. I mixed up the flower seeds that I had laying around with huge surpluses of, and just kind of threw them in there to see what would happen. So we're going to see what happens. Most people don't care about this, but this is Solanum dulcamara, also known as bittersweet nightshade, and it is growing and doing well. My favorite plant. Speaking of favorite plants, I realize I just did a video on this one recently, but look at, there it is. Good old malevolence. If I hold malevolence up here, the camera's probably going to get a little wonky, but if I do this, should be able to see those spikes forming and doing their spiky thing. Yeah, this plant is dangerous looking. It's fun. And doing well since I up-potted it, so the up-potting went splendidly. Here we have the in-ground asparagus crowns that were planted. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that have come up, and there's 2 or 3 more that just haven't poked out of the soil yet, but are still growing down there. So yeah, fairly decent survival rate out of, let's see, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plants. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I planted 10 crowns and 7 of them survived. It's not terrible. Here's something exciting. Pink champagne currants. And not just pink champagne currant plants, but let's see, where is, right down there. Okay, so that's, yeah, now I can see it on the camera. We have currants growing, doing their thing. Those should ripen in about a month, and I am excited to try them for the first time. Grandpa garlic and shallots and elephant garlic. I've got some weeds here I need to pull, and I need to take this mesh off the top of this. I'm hesitant to do so, though, because the currants, the moment I took the mesh off, within a day and a half, pretty much half the mulch had been thrown out of the planter by the squirrels. So I'm just a little hesitant here to take this off, because the moment I do, I have a feeling the squirrels are going to be completely face down and just tearing all of this mulch out, which could damage my garlic, and I really don't want to risk that. On the flip side, stuff is growing through the mesh, and the mesh is going to be more of a hindrance than a help pretty soon here. So, yeah, I'm going to have to take care of this one way or another. I have a plan on dealing with the squirrels, but the problem is it doesn't help until they start digging, and then they realize that they shouldn't be doing that. And the plan there is 100,000 Scoville chili powder that you just sprinkle throughout the bed. Works pretty well. I had good results with it last year. The problem there, though, is that you have to reapply it every time it rains. So more on that later. The lavender that I started from seed last year is looking pretty good. It's not huge or anything, but it looks healthy, and that's honestly the thing I care about the most. And remember how I said that the Swiss chard overwintered and everything there looked like it was doing well? So, yes and no. There's the Swiss chard that survived. And I say survived, but I don't think it survived. I think that's a new plant. I don't think that's coming off of anything old. And I say that because when I cleaned the old stuff out of this bed, which it looks like I missed one actually, the insides of all the old stuff was liquid. It was absolutely wretched, and I hope to never touch anything like that again. It was awful. Okay, I am laughing because these are potatoes. This was the potato bed last year, and apparently I didn't do a very good job of getting all the little potatoes out. Whoopsie. Oh, there's more growing over there too. Man, that is a tenacious plant. To be able to get through all this stuff, I gotta get this stuff out of here, because as you can see, it's going to seed. It's going to seed. We don't want it to go to seed. I have to say though, the seed pods are kind of striking, that blue, like almost teal color. Absolutely don't want this going to seed though. I got to come out here and take these down probably later today. Otherwise, I'm never going to get rid of it. So, hey, look, more winter rye. Brassicas that are flowering. I'm going to let this go for just a little bit longer and then rip all this out in time to plant the brassica bed up. There's the orange balm doing quite well. I'm surprised it overwintered as well as it did, considering there was nothing left in the fall. So that's pretty good. Everything else here is a weed. And this is mostly weeds with a couple strawberry plants thrown in for, I don't know, decorative purposes at this point. The strawberry plants here are going to be put into the strawberry planter shortly. That's just part of what I need to do when I repot, or not repot, but plant everything. Again, probably this weekend. Here's the bed that my father is going to be using again this year. I had thought about putting another bed over here, but we didn't decide to do that. We put the 2 new beds over there, as you can see. So they're doing all right. What I'll need to do here is fertilize this bed, scratch that fertilizer in, and then this should be ready for him to do his thing. I'll probably do a bit of weeding first. This is exciting. Here is the rose that was damaged during shipping. Pretty much 2/3 of it broke off, but lots of new growth. It's doing quite well. I'm very happy with that. It's a climbing rose. And here is its brother or sister. I don't know how that works. Anyway, here is its compatriot in arms, reaching already for the fence. And here's a hint. It's only reaching because I planted it so that it would poke in that direction. When they're a little bit longer, I'll start training them to go up the trellis here. And that should be, I think, pretty glorious, right? I'm just going to climb up both sides of this trellis and then explode with big red blooms. It should be quite nice. That is the goal, at any rate. Behold, a mason bee nest. We'll see if they use it. If they don't, it's fine. I'll take the thing down and just put it in the shed for the winter, which I would do that with the tubes anyway, because that's what you're supposed to do if they use them. Not in the shed, but somewhere sheltered and somewhat warm, but not very warm. And then, then you bring them back out so they can hatch properly. That's how it's supposed to work anyway, but we'll see. I got this out a little late, so I don't know if I'm actually going to see any mason bees using it. I can't order mason bees now. It's a little too late to do that. Moving on. My strawberries. I just watered them. They needed it. So let's see. A lot of these should be setting little tiny roots now. Let's take a look. Let's go with, I don't know, this one. That's actually pretty firmly in there. I'm not going to do that. Go with a different one. Yeah. Okay, so this one has a lot of resistance when pulling on it, so it's actually taken root. There we go. See, we've got rooting. We've got rooting. That's what we want. Once they start taking root, we separate them out and plant them with proper spacing. Trees needed watering, so they got their watering today. Pretty good. Everything there's fine. Need more mulch. Speaking of needing more mulch, here's the raspberry rows. Some of them doing quite well. However, these are the second-year canes that you see with all the huge growth. Although, not all of them are. Some of them are actually first-year canes, like down there. And actually, those right there are also first-year growth. The first-year growth will give berries in the fall. The second-year growth is going to give berries shortly, and you can actually see we've got flowers and whatnot that are about to pop open. We're getting there. Once they pop open, hopefully they'll get pollinated. We'll get ourselves a nice little crop of raspberries, and then, actually, look at that. Some of them are popping open already. Nice. Very cool. So anyway, once they get pollinated, hopefully, we'll be able to harvest the raspberries, and then any cane that was bearing raspberries in the spring will get taken down pretty much immediately after the harvest. That allows the plants to focus more on the new cane growth coming up from the roots, and then that should be able to be harvested come fall. Those will be allowed to overwinter. They'll give berries a lighter crop of berries again in the spring to get cut down and be replaced again with the new growth for the year. And that is the cycle of most raspberry plants. I gotta get the violets out of here. There's some weeds still. And over there, there's just a ton of grass. I apparently didn't mulch deep enough. At any rate, that's what the state of the raspberry plants are. A lot of the ones I planted did come up, so we're looking mostly good from that perspective too. I think we had like 2 or 3 that didn't, but most of them are doing quite well. Here's the some of the other plants that we bought at the nursery. My wife wanted us to add chocolate mint, so that's what this is, and that's what this is. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little leery about adding mint. Mint does not play well with others. It's chocolate mint, and the one time we did try to grow it previously, it pretty much immediately died, though. So, we'll let it do its thing, and hopefully it won't take over the entire garden and make me regret my choice. We'll find out. We also have catnip. Cats love this. Good stuff. But a few more basil plants. Another Thai hot pepper, because my wife apparently didn't trust me on when I said that I grew one from seed. What is this? That's another catnip plant. Forgot I got two of those. Okay, so this one's a catnip plant. This one's a catnip plant. That one's actually looking like it's going to flower soon here. Got a bunch of spicy globe basil, which isn't really spicy, it's just basil. Here's some parsley. Here's that Thai hot pepper plant. And then we have what's called barbecue rosemary over there. And it's called that because it grows very, very long, straight stems. And what you do with it is you cut it off, and then you immediately just create barbecue skewers out of it with the rosemary still attached, and just grill it up. For her birthday, my wife requested a grill, so that should actually be arriving at the end of this month. So, good times. Then there's the stuff I bought at the nursery previously. Here's the in-ground willow. Still healthy. It's growing slower than I anticipated, which could be because it's not getting a ton of water. Definitely growing slower than it did, than the other willow did in the vase full of water. That said, though, like, I don't expect this willow to die. The willow that I did plant, I took the nicest one out of that pot of water, or not pot, but out of the vase of water, put it in a fabric pot, which I showed a few videos back, and it was doing fine up until about a week and a half ago, and now it's dying. And again, it's dying looking like it's getting overwatered and underwatered at the same time. This is the same thing that happened to the previous ones. We have to mow the grass. Anyway, moving over here, blueberry plants. Bushes. And the thing I'm most excited about, if we move in close, you can see we have new growth. We have lots of new growth, replacing some of the crispy dead growth that I stupidly inflicted on these poor bushes. But we have new growth on both of them. I think they're going to be okay, folks. I think they're going to be okay. Well, okay, maybe not this stem. Yeah, just pretend you didn't see that part. Look, it's not perfect. But they're recovering, and that's the important bit. So, here we have what appears to be a big pile of weeds. Now, there's a couple plants in here that aren't weeds. Notably, the little... Wait, what are those? Lilies, I think. These guys. Yeah, these are good. We want these. And actually, we kind of like the violets, but the violets are kind of taking over the place. So one of the things I'm going to do today is I'm going to remove all of the violets that are in front of this black pipe. So everything on my current side of the black pipe that's going to be left should just be the violets. And everything else is going to get pulled up to here. I don't even know what that is, but it's coming out too. Then over here is the area that I am turning into something, and it desperately needs watered, it looks like. Even my little mum is not doing so well. Well, I'll water it, get it in the ground. Interestingly, the lavender plants that I bought are kind of complaining that they need watered too. Now, that was not expected because, generally speaking, lavender doesn't need a whole lot of water. I did just plant these, so maybe the roots just aren't that well established. So anyway, I'm going to hit this with some water, and I'm going to do some weeding, and then I will be back because there's something else we need to do here still. Are you ready for the reveal, folks? But you're going to have to hold on a second because I forgot one weed. Dang it. Time for the reveal. Now, as described, all of the violets in front of that black tube there have been removed. That leaves the 5 lilies that made it out of the, I think, 8 that were planted last fall. Standing tall and proud and by themselves now, so they shouldn't be crowded out for resources. Then over here, still don't know what I'm going to do with this solar-powered planter yet, but I'll figure that out. And I got everything in here planted, except for the stuff that hasn't arrived yet, which would be the clematis and the dragon's blood sedum. So, but anyway, I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Ta-da! Anyways, I hope this was fun to see. Thanks for joining me on this little tour. Till we talk again. There, we'll do that. BRB, buddy. I'll put my microphone on all proper-like. All right. I got something in my eye. And folks may see this. I've got a little mason bee house. I don't know if it's going to see any use this year. I guess we'll find out. Right there in the center of the frame. I don't have much use for full-grown honeybee. Well, I mean, I have a use for them. I just don't. I don't have a use for honey, so I don't want to keep honey bees. Mason bees, however, seem to be a good way to get that pollinator in my garden without having to deal with all of the hassle of the honey. Now, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't have to harvest the honey, mind you. Like, that's not, I'm going off topic here. Is that? Oh, those are flowers. Okay. What to say? Are those blueberries? No.